pray for us?
Yes, bow with me, please. Most gracious and kind Heavenly Father, I ask that you continue to give those affected by this tornado we had the comfort they need emotionally, the resources they need to get through each day. Lord, I pray for those that lost family members during that event. Give them the peace and comfort they need. Lord, I pray for all of our first responders who had stepped up so much to deal with this. Give them the rest and comfort they need, Lord, and their families also. Lord, I pray for our military and our first responders, that you look over them, guide and direct them, and bring them home safely each and every day. I ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Go ahead and call Marsh County Fiscal Court to order, February 1st, 2022. First on the agenda is Roger Ford. Good morning.
Good morning. How you guys? Morning. All right. Boy, what a heck of a way to start your day right now. Huh? Lead off. I did see we've got a comfort dog back here, so is it Stella? Is that her name? I had a granddaughter named Stella. We might want to bring Stella around and let you guys pet on her a little bit after I'm done, yeah. Guys, unfortunately, we was down to 2 boilers, and now one of the 2 is gone also. I had a company come in yesterday and said there's just no getting it going. So he has actually recommended us bringing in an engineer to be able to see exactly what we need and put this thing out to bids. I thought it might fall under the emergency clause, but I think it's going to be a few weeks before he could even get a boiler anyway. And with that being said, he said that, to bring in an engineer because we want to make sure the pipe and everything, the flow and everything's okay. So it would not come back on him if it does need to be changed.
Roger, how old is the jail?
The jail is 30 years old.
30 years old.
Actually, first Tuesday of April, 30 years ago, we started moving inmates in.
It's no surprise to the court. We've discussed this, I think, in our budget workshops. We discussed the boiler issues and the issues in general with the jail. I think we definitely need to have further discussion on the actual facility itself. 30 years old, and a boiler is not cheap.
No.
So it's something that our infrastructure as a whole has just been, all of our infrastructure, and it's not going to be overnight to get anything fixed, but we, as a governing body, have to seriously sit down and look at this facility as a whole and what the future moving forward is. I don't think, I used a term before, putting lipstick on a pig. I don't think replacing a boiler is going to replace or fix future issues that's going to come up with a 30-year-old facility. And that other boiler it's any time that it's going to go out?
Yeah, I mean, and if it goes out, then we're shut down. Where I think he did say, it's possibility that when this is being replaced and we are shut down, he might be able to get us hot water and everything to continue our business for the couple of days it's going to be shut down.
I mean, if it goes out and there's the facility can't provide, what are all the contingencies? What plans?
Well, I mean,
what position does the jail?
We would have to find another county to take our inmates, which that's what Graves County's done now. And I don't know if there's another jail in this area that could take them. I know that.
Are you talking local inmates or state inmates?
Well, Oh, I'm sure they probably jump all over the state somehow or another, but I know that Graves County's got, I think the biggest part of theirs are in Grayson County, I believe, which is, what, 2 hours away? No. But now, Judge, not only is jail gonna be shut down, the sheriff's department, 911, and they all rely on this too.
Oh, it's a web.
Yeah,
I mean, the jail's facility and the sheriff's facility are basically in the same building in the
Yes, sir.
current 911 center.
yes, sir.
I mean, we just had the ocean complaint back with the mode that we paid, what, $9,000? We're appealing that, but, I mean, it's a 30-year-old structure.
Sure, sure.
And I don't think today we're going to be able to solve this issue. I mean, this is going to have to be something that is looked into in more detail as far as what we have with this facility. And obviously, it's a serious issue because you've got inmates.
I'm sorry, do what now?
You got inmates.
Yeah, sure.
And while you're here, if you know off the top of your head, how many state inmates are housed compared to local?
Probably roughly right now, I think I'm running probably about 165 inmates right now. I'm going to say 105, I think. I checked the other day with state inmates. Now, with that, we probably, 50, 60 of those inmates are in a restricted custody building, which I don't think would be affected because we actually run on hot water heaters and different system over there.
Is there 3 boilers in there total, Roger?
Yes, sir. There's 3 boilers in there. One of them's been down for quite some time. They've kind of robbed the parts off of it to keep the other 2 going.
How long's it been down, Roger?
Justin, I couldn't tell you for sure. Several years.
Yeah.
So
Several years.
one will run everything.
One is operating right now. Yeah.
I'm
But now
wondering,
they told me though that, and I mean it could go at any time, because it's the same age as the other ones, and hopefully, I mean, with an engineer, I mean, that's the reason, I mean, they would tell us what we need to do because there's a possibility that the one that is running right now could possibly just be a backup. I mean, I'm just talking off the top of my head, if we could go tankless to the water going to the cells and then just use the new boiler for heat and possibly it may have to supply the kitchen also. I'm not for sure. And that's just some stuff I've kind of collected over the years.
Well, regardless of what we're gonna do, we can't afford to be sitting on our hands much longer.
No,
I mean, it's in crisis mode right now, but you're one boiler away from a damn disaster.
Yeah.
Excuse my language, but that's
exactly.
what's gonna be.
And I mean, I have no idea how long it take to get an engineer in and him do his stuff and then, for the bid. And
Was there a safety issue on one of the boilers at one point? Was it the one that was down now, or is it the one that's functioning?
yes, I believe it's the ones down now.
Okay, so there's not a safety issue at this point with the current boiler?
Well, I don't think that I could answer that.
Okay, I just knew, I remember seeing some correspondence
Yeah.
that they were like, this is,
Yeah.
we just want to put this down, that there is a safety issue with it, but as long as we're not there with this one.
Correct, yeah. But yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm not familiar how long it'd take an engineer to come in and do what he needs to do, then what we got.
How do we
2-week
go
bid.
through that process, Jason, if we get an engineer? Do you reach out to an engineer, or do we as a court? I mean, how's that work?
I mean, as far as who makes the contact, it doesn't matter. You just got to find somebody that's in that field of expertise. Locally, would Markham be one that would be involved in that?
That's the one that was recommended.
Yeah. That's the first name that came off the top of my head, so.
Yeah.
And that's just going to solve this issue. We need to seriously have discussions about the future of the jail in this county. other assets that we have. But the pressing issue right now is that the third boiler is about to go out.
Very possible, yeah.
We have, who do we have on CMC?
HMC. I know HMC has done a lot of work in the sheriff's office, 911, and the judicial building. And I know we had talked about before having a maintenance contract with HMC. So I don't know.
But
They've
that was just for the heat in an hour. That
Okay.
wasn't, not the boiler.
Okay.
No, it's having a contract, you know, with a company like HMC. They come in, just like our generators, they come in and the tech does the PM on them on a consistent basis. They report back to us what needs to be fixed, what needs to be looked at, and that's how we maintain. I know just hearing from some of the contractors that went in to look at doing some of the work, we had contractors, reputable contractors, that wouldn't even touch the facility.
Mhm.
It is an issue, but, so what you're saying is we need an engineer to go assess, kind of like what we did with the mode in the judicial building, to go down and get an assessment of next steps for this boiler.
Correct, yeah. Because there's, I mean, probably going to have to be some piping work done also.
When you get behind the facade, when you climb up into the rafters and the ceiling tiles, it's bad.
And with all that, I'm not familiar with the tankless heaters, but my understanding is that, you know, we'll see a huge difference on our gas bill. I think we're probably the Benton Gas #1 customer, I believe, you know. So, I mean, I believe with that, what my understanding is, we'd see a big savings right there. And, you know, and Judge, talking about the jail, I mean, the structure part of the jail is fine. You know, all the heat and air, all the units have been changed out, you know, one time since in the 30-year period. But it's like your house, you're gonna have to do maintenance on it, whether it's new or old.
Building, you gotta maintain it.
We're sitting and discussing previous conversations or discussions from years past as far as the actual cost to the taxpayer to house an inmate in our jail. And Brad seems to think $45.
Yeah, somebody threw out like $45 per day per inmate was the number that costs us as far as housing those inmates per day.
So if you remember, $28 local rate for other counties to bring prisoners to our facility, and then the state has $31, which I know there's legislation that is going to try to go up to $4.
The state, yeah.
$4,
Yeah,
which,
the bill passes.
You know, these are serious issues that taxpayers in this community, and we need to sit down and discuss. If these numbers are even remotely close, it's not going to cover the costs. I mean,
Judge, you shut that jail down, I'll promise you.
oh, who said shutting the jail down? I mean, I think we have to have the taxpayers, they need to know how much it's costing them to have this facility in their community. And if they are fine with
Sure.
that, then that's fine. But this is, when we talk about our infrastructure, we're all paying for it.
Sure, yes, sir.
But that's my opinion, we need to really have conversations on what it's costing us. And we don't know if the legislation is going to pass, but there is legislation for $4. So I know Laura's got to go. Engineering, is there any discussion or a motion for getting an engineering firm to look at these boiler or this boiler.
I'll make a motion that Roger is authorized to reach out to an engineering firm to get their input on this as soon as possible.
Second the motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Laurel just stepped out. She's on the phone. Yeah, go ahead, Sue. You can give us an update on what you did yesterday.
All right. Hi, everybody. I did want to give you a little rundown of some of the numbers. We have contacted everybody that was on the list for the hotline. We have 9 new ones that came in on Friday that we'll reach to back today. We've also been able to contact everybody that the Red Cross gave us. That was a unique list. Brad, I think you're the next person on my list that we're going to try to merge once again to see if we can expand. But we have total unique leads. We have 395 out of FEMA's 900 and plus number. So again, we're still at that phase of trying to reach out and connect to these people. One of my thoughts and suggestions is going to be perhaps to push on FEMA. FEMA has the list of all the names, all the contact information. Are they homeowners or renters? Do they have insurance? They literally have all those names. So if they cannot give us a list of all those names, I think your county, by opening up a county-wide helpline, is something that FEMA should be able to distribute that information to that list of people to encourage them to at least reach out to the county. Because I'll go down the breakdown of these numbers, but for the people who own property or the property ownership, we have 80% of the people that we have contacted have homeowners insurance. 13% of the people own and they do not have homeowners insurance. And then 7% were renters. So one is, I am concerned that we're not reaching all of the people who own their home and do not have homeowners insurance. It feels like that number is low.
That's of the 395
Of the
that you made contact
395.
with. Okay.
But I'm a good believer in kind of these numbers seem to extrapolate out, so somewhere along the
Yeah.
line, it still feels like we're off.
Yeah.
And then you have this bucket of 80% have homeowners insurance. So these are how that gets broken down. Either one, they're having a great experience with their insurance company, they got paid out fairly, and they're going to recover on their own. That is probably one of the smallest buckets. I've only had one consistent company have very good reviews of when they're dealing with their insurance company. We've had one glaring company that also has not been doing well by their homeowners. So either one, they're good and they're going to be able to self-recover. Two, they got paid out. It's the maximum of what they could. They were just literally underinsured. And then you have the largest bucket, which is the people who are still going back and forth with their insurance company, whether they need another adjuster to come out. We are encouraging them, if they are concerned about any structural, they can reach out to their insurance company and ask them to send the structural engineer to come take a look. I don't have a lot of faith in that happening, and most certainly not a lot of faith in that happening fast, because a lot of these people are not even getting the adjusters to come back out to the house to take a look. So a lot of the stories are, they had an insurance guy came down here in the beginning, wrote them a small check for something, and then kind of put everything else back on the homeowner. Go get estimates, send them in, those are the people that we're going to go back to now, and we're going to make sure that we offer our service. We have an insurance review where they can send in their policy, their declaration page, what their payout or denial was from their insurance, and any kind of estimate that they have. And we can take a look, we'll do an insurance review and kind of give them some guidance of whether we think there is still some legitimate room in there for them to push back on, or whether with the damage that they have, what we see, that it looks like they got paid out fairly. Some people have engaged with a public adjuster. We are trying to just pause people and say before they actually hire somebody, if they would allow us to do this review for them for no cost. There is some value in having public adjusters and lawyers, but the reality of it is they are getting them paid out on a contract for things that need to be repaired, and then at some point that money will get diminished, whether it's between 18 to 15% with a public adjuster or 30 to 40 when it comes to an attorney. The next part that we...
Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
Is that what this legal aid group is for, or are they for something else? Will they work on behalf of folks towards insurance?
So they can certainly help push back in their official capacity as an esquire. So I am talking with legal services.
Okay.
They're part of the long-term recovery group that's
Right.
coming together.
Okay.
I offered her to be co-chair because I think you're right. I think legal services is going to be one of these entities that really come into play.
Yeah.
So anticipated construction scope, it's almost broken down even among the people that we've, 47% anticipate rebuilding and 48% anticipate repairing. 5% anticipate to have replacement. And then the next little bit of...
Go back to that, please. Sorry.
So it's 47% anticipate right now that they will be a complete rebuild. 48% right now think that they're it's going to be repairs. That is a fluid number on the repairs. That could easily move into the bucket of being a rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
And then anticipate replacement is 5%.
When you say replacement,
It's probably along with the mobile homes.
Okay.
trailer homes.
let me ask you this. Are you asking, or maybe those 395 are the ones who are all going to rebuild? I mean, do you ask that question also of, do you anticipate just selling your land and letting somebody else, and you know what I mean? Do you think those others are?
We talk to them more in like holistically, not like kind of check-offs,
Specific,
just more, I'm calling to check in on how you're doing with your recovery, how are you making out with your insurance company? And then you get that. Does it
Okay.
look like you're going to be able to rebuild or repair? And then those things are unearthed from those conversations of
Okay.
that.
So it's not a specific question of,
No,
Yeah,
it's
I
just a
gotcha.
little bit more holistic, but there have been some that have said that, this next category, we would put that under self-recovery. So we kind of ask the people if they feel like they have the ability to recover on their own. So 38% of the people feel that they can self-recover, and Monty, that would be where that category, we would consider that to be self-recovery if by chance they were not going to rebuild and sell their property. Unsure, there's 29% that are just unsure right now if they're going to have, and a lot of them are waiting for either insurance or estimates to come in. We have 16% who have identified that they know that they are going to have a funding gap. And that is the 16%. Those are the people that we are starting to engage with them now to find out what are the pathways to either bring them more resources, because maybe they think they don't have it now because they got low insurance payout, and maybe there's some room to push back on the insurance company. And then the ability to self-recover right now, we don't know, we have 17%. So it gives a little bit next layer of discovery in what is going on in the community, but my first concern is about reaching the people who are not on this list. So whenever we're communicating and hanging up the phone with people, we just let them know that if anything else from this conversation, they should know that they are not alone in this recovery, and that the county has a hotline that is open, and we're here to help them. And then my next point to each and every one of them is, and please, if you know any friend, family, neighbor, someone at church that is struggling, please connect them. And a great example of that happened yesterday. We had some target homes to go out. We had a volunteer team of very successful, high-level construction people come in yesterday, and they're out this morning finishing up to go look at homes and to kind of assess what the scope of work that needs to be done. And then they're also looking at it as, is this a project that they could possibly come back with a volunteer team and tend to the repairs. So in going out yesterday, you know, you talk to one homeowner and she's showing around, and here's a great example. This homeowner didn't think she had damage inside. She only told the insurance company that she had damage on the outside. They went out, they wrote up an estimate, they got her paid. She actually has that cash check. She had family members come and started look around the house, and there are cracks in every joint where the joints go, and nail pops. So the family's like, Mom, you know, you got to call. She called back the insurance company. The insurance company said that they do not plan to be back in the area, and that she should just submit something reasonable. So is the insurance company bad? Are they not going to pay? I don't know that, but I just know for that homeowner that's been through this traumatic situation, that's not the best instructions to tell them to get something reasonable. The gentleman that went to her house yesterday is going to write up an estimate with what he saw. So at minimum, she will be getting that estimate and be able to submit that to the insurance company. They're also considering if she has trouble finding a contractor, that they would consider coming back. But here's the great part. They know there's value in touching these people and meeting these people and going to see, but that's someone who is safe in their home. It is really, they went in the attic, they checked all the beams, so it's not structural. So that is someone who is safe in their home, and that the repairs that need to be done are more on the cosmetic side. Does she maybe need help? Maybe she does need their help. But she unearthed a neighbor across the street who we did not connect with. And it was, I'm really worried about Miss So-and-so across the street. Could you go over? And then I said, do you have her number? Can you call? And that person is somebody without insurance, fighting with FEMA, really doesn't understand the whole FEMA process, has blown out windows and gutters and then the front door. And that was really like the prime person who we need to contact with. So they did another scope, they'll write up a scope for work for her. And there's a good chance if they go to do the neighbor across the street with those major repairs, that they will probably go across the street and fix up that lady's. But I think we're to that level where we just have to keep going out, meeting, talking to people, asking about their neighbors and friends, because I don't know what more we could do on a public outreach with the postcards and the hotline and the social media and the messaging and radio. I think that we are getting down to literally just shaking hands and going out in the community like you guys have been doing. And Monty, we did get to go, that guy that you gave us who stopped there yesterday. So I think we're to that point that we just have to, it's just a large number that we still don't have. And if the rest of those people on FEMA's list, if they're in the category that, you know, they have insurance and they're going to self-recover, that's great. Just let's put it down on the list so that we can categorize it. It just feels like we're still missing a chunk. But those guys are going to come back. I'm looking to put another, but a lot of the homes that they saw yesterday had insurance. So it's worth it for them to go. We still don't know where the homeowner is with their insurance company yet. So it's just kind of, there are some steps that have to evolve, and it does take a little bit of time. But, you know, for instance, if we got enough money from the insurance company and it wasn't enough for them to hire a contractor, these guys may consider taking that insurance money to use it for the materials, and then they come in and provide some of the labor. So, that's
Yeah,
what-
and Sue, also, the key is too, there's currently a deadline for SBA and FEMA. Just yesterday when we were out looking at some of the residents' property, those neighboring properties that get discovered, there was a couple, as I was leaving, that stopped and we were talking, and they had insurance. And they were like, we're not going to go through FEMA because we know we're going to get denied. But they had shortfalls. They had funding shortfalls. And I explained to them that they still have to go through FEMA. They still need to apply with the SBA. And if they get denied, that's fine because they bring that denial back, and then there's additional potential funding or resources that's available to them. And the February 10th is SBA deadline,
and then
and February 11th is the FEMA deadline. Now, I know Laurel's on the phone, and she's got to take the call that she's on, but she'll be back in here, and we can discuss. You know, we can ask, if it gets to that point, to push that deadline further out. If we feel like our folks are not, you know, we've had this discussion as far as folks that feel like they can take it on themselves or handle it themselves. But long term, if that deadline comes and goes and it passes, they realize they need resources and those channels are turned off. So we want to make sure that, in my opinion, that we don't have anybody that falls into that category. I think we're doing another direct mailer. Is that right, Brittany? So we're going to do, there was a little success on the first one, so we're going to do another one to help advocate for that. But and discussing it here is important. The more we can get that message out that they need to go through that process, even if they are covered and they feel like that others need that resource and they don't. They need to go through that process.
And for the SBA loan, it could be a really valuable tool, but I think it is most appealing when they kind of know they need it, right? Like when they know right now, they don't know from their insurance company what they're getting. They may not get the estimates to rebuild their home yet, so they're kind of, like you said, they kind of think they got it handled. And then these programs will close down, and then it's a much different situation where they're short 30, 40,000, and they could have got that loan. So I'm a strong proponent in really articulating to FEMA that, I mean, this is a traumatic situation here. I mean, people were digging out. They're still digging out of the debris phase here. So there's no reason why, with some good vocal pushing on FEMA, that they shouldn't easily consider the extension for both of these programs.
So, so the 900 number, I mean, at least that's a high number of folks who have contacted FEMA. But so what's the difference in FEMA and SBA? Do we know that? As far as the number who have gone from FEMA and then contacted SBA?
I can find out that information. I don't have that. That's something we can get from FEMA to break down.
And then just thinking through the SBA deal, to me, I mean, taking our industry, I mean, it's a pre-approval. It's essentially someone coming to me to buy a house and I need a pre-approval letter from the bank. They don't have to get the loan, but it doesn't cost you anything to be pre-approved through SBA. At least you have that if you need it. But gosh, it's hard. I've mentioned that SBA, I don't know how many times to people, and it's hard to get them to make that step. Not as hard for the FEMA, hard for SBA, and the ones that I've talked to that have called you all, or called the hotline or whatever, have had good success. It's just getting them to.
And the other thing
On the
with
hotline.
insurance, right? I just said 80% of the people that we talk to. So their message from FEMA is, oh, you have insurance? And
Yeah.
they feel they're not eligible. I'm not eligible. FEMA didn't do anything. And it's, once you, again, you have to explain and have these conversations, because you can explain it to people and say, listen, unfortunately, that wording does not necessarily give the truth of the story, because the truth of the matter is, it's not that you're ineligible for FEMA. Right now, you have to figure out what your payment for FEMA is. And I had somebody that did max out. They only got $25,000, and they bought something that was $127,000, and they have that gap. I said, take the payout from the max from your insurance and this new receipt. Now we submit that to FEMA because you went through your insurance and you're still underinsured. They should consider you for the funding under the structure, which under the policy is $37,900. And I asked them when, whatever their response is to get back and let me know. Yes, you got the money, yay. No, they gave me only part, I want to know why. Or they denied you. I really want to know why. So we'll see where that goes, but I don't even know if that message is out there. I think a lot of people think, I got insurance, FEMA's not going to do anything. It's really like you just have to go through your insurance first and then see if there's anything that is left after there that they would pay for.
What's the cap on the SBA loans?
$200,000 for individual structure, and then $40,000 on personal property. And it's under 2%. I don't know, Monty, you know exactly 1 point.
1.3, I think.
Under 2%. And as the judge has mentioned, if they fail that test, right, if they fail SBA, meaning they do not show that they have the means to repay, that opens up another category on the FEMA assistance side that can help pay for some of that personal property. So that's why where your frustration, Monty, is like, you just want to say, if this is the best test that you could fail because it opens up this other pot of money over here. But it is a hard concept to get out there, and that's where you really got to have as many as these one-on-one conversations as you can, and just kind of
They're helpful. The one-on-one is helpful. It's just getting to them one-on-one. I mean, you and I have talked about that. You mentioned that this weekend of, could you go out with me and just, and I think that would be helpful, because trust me, I'm out there and I'm like, we have this person, you just please contact. And for the most part, I think they have, the ones that, that I've told you about, and they've contacted, or you contacted them, whatever it may be. So who has the authority to extend the FEMA and SBA, and who needs to be?
The way I understand is the county does. We can ask for them to extend.
We can ask FEMA, so it's not a presidential thing.
And Laura can.
It is. It takes the president, for not the 30-day, but the FEMA taking applications or whatever.
We can request, and I think as each of the fiscal courts, if each and every one does a request for them to stay around, and then you group those together, then that has more power than.
So do we do a resolution today, or
Yes.
something that is signed by all of?
We can. I mean, my association conference starts tomorrow.
Yes, so that's
And
something to,
I can-
for this fiscal court, who has been leading the way in many, in many
To get
ways.
them to sign on.
I just took over there, sorry.
Like a joint
Yeah.
for
it-
all of us. Because everybody's is the same date. Graves is the 10th and the 11th. Everybody's.
it's per the
Everybody's
declaration.
date's the same way. Okay.
I think it's
But,
something
Yeah,
they
if
do,
you-
yeah.
But that unified effort, I
Yes.
think,
That's
carries
heard
more
in a
weight.
different
Yeah, I
channel
think that,
than.
I think that would be helpful. Okay.
And at the
Do we-
same, and the same or separate, but similar but separate, if you would also consider in a group or unified method, asking SBA to extend their
Right.
deadline.
Yeah.
Because that's the financial piece that will make or break this community 5 years from now, is whether they have to put everything on credit cards or they have 20% interest versus 2% interest.
Well, what I would suggest doing is Laurel has told you what her suggestion is to go ahead and make the motion that we do a resolution for those two things. It can be in the same resolution, right? Or it needs to be separate?
What time period, 30 day, what's reasonable to ask for? And we need to ask for a specific time period, right? Other than just saying, hey, extend it.
FEMA by how many, and SB 60 or 90? 90 days? Ask for, I would
Ask
say-
for 90,
Yeah.
hope
and
for
ho- and
60.
hope for- Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
Do you need
know,
them
honestly,
separate?
you know, we want them there a year from now, but let's operate in the realm of
We're
reality.
sending it to
it-
two
it-
different agencies, so I
different
assume you
agencies.
need,
Yeah,
Two different
and,
resolutions,
you know, we talked about this.
two different letters.
Once people see their neighbors going through the process and they realize, hey, I need to do that, the current timeline, we're probably going to have people in the community that are going to miss that deadline. So it's that observation, if you will, of other people getting support. And then too, it's so hard to get out. Sue reported 395, but it's so hard to get out. The few places that I've been to, you find there's other neighbors that fit the same thing and haven't even gone through the process yet.
This is not the time to be humble. This is the time for everyone to
Do their due
take a little
diligence
bit
and
back of all the taxes they've been paying over the past forever years.
when,
Good way to put it.
you know, the church that's giving out the vehicles, that pastor, you know, has said several times, it's not a hand out, it is a hand up. And I'm telling you.
And this
it's-
hand up may not be here in a year. It
No.
is here now. And
I know, we've talked about it. I get it. I feel like we may, if
Right.
we were in that situation, we may be the same, that
Right.
same feeling, but, so I move, that we draft a resolution in support of extending the, FEMA deadline 90 days.
Second motion.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
I move that we, draft a resolution to move the, SBA date 90 days.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
And Laurel, will you do me a favor and just send me an email with the key language? And if you want to take a shot at, drafting the resolution, you can too, but I just need,
not an attorney, but I stayed at a Holiday Inn.
yeah, I would much prefer if you would send me the key language to have
Okay.
in there.
I can do that.
And if you can get that to me, I'm going to be sitting on a panel tomorrow with all the judges.
Copy paste.
And we'll get the judges on board. So, perfect.
Can we get our federal delegation on board too? I'm sure we can
Yes.
get our
Commissioners,
federal
yes.
delegation on board.
Yeah, they're going to be there
You
too.
know, Senator McConnell his staff the other day was very receptive to our needs, and I think we've
Yeah.
got an individual there that, you know,
Yeah, they wrote
really
a
worked for us.
prior letter
Yeah.
in support, so we can reach out to them as well. All right. Laura, I know
Speaking
you've
of
got a
other-
lot to go down the
Yeah,
list.
speaking of other resolutions, and I apologize, I had a scheduled call with FEMA, and you just don't get to reschedule some of those calls. So we have an opportunity to pick up debris on private property. This is not this is not houses that we're seeking right now. This is for private roads. FEMA still calls it private property. So we have 3 roads in the affected area that are private roads that we need to ask FEMA's permission to pick up on those private roads. So I'm seeking a resolution for the fiscal court to agree to send a letter to FEMA requesting that FEMA consider debris removal on those 3 private roads.
What are those 3
Oh, I
roads?
knew you were going to ask me that.
I've got them.
It is,
You got it?
one second.
Is this something in Cambridge? It wouldn't be in Cambridge.
Yeah, in
would it?
Cambridge.
It is? They're private roads, aren't they?
Yeah, one is off Knox, hold on. I have the letter all set up with pictures before and after. It is. Okay, let me pull up the letter.
You can get those to me
Okay,
later. It's
sorry.
no, we can go ahead now. I don't want to
You don't need the
money
names
up.
of it in the resolution, or you do?
Well, no, just that private roads. Private road,
One, I believe, is Cardinal Lane.
yes, thank you.
Yes, yes.
Thanks, all that does is give us one. Still makes us want to know the other 2.
What had
One is,
what had
an
happened?
unnamed off of Knox Lane.
Yeah, what had happened is the volunteer groups that were out, they were pushing to the roads. They just didn't realize those 3 roads were private roads. And it caused
There's
issues
no
for us.
sign,
Yeah.
I'm sure, so.
So they stacked up all the debris and stuff, and this is the right way to go through the process, just to get permission.
So I move we draft the resolution to request FEMA to be able to, or to pick up, allow us to pick up debris on private roads.
Second.
Cardinal Elkwood and off of Knox Lane.
Often, okay.
Thank you.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Did you say you already had that one ready?
I have it ready.
Okay.
I might need a little help.
All right. You know my email address.
Yeah. Okay. Last call. It's beginning to be last call on debris.
Yes.
At least for contractor debris. They're finishing up some state roads, but if it's not at the right-of-way soon, the contractor will, had several trucks running, but we've done such a good job, and the volunteers have done such a good job that contractors running out of stuff to pick up. So we need a community push to get it to the right-of-way, or just for the community to understand that if they don't get it out now, it may be a while coming. The road department will still be running crews, but we have a drop-dead deadline to pick up all debris by May 10th, otherwise we lose some incentive funding in our grant percentage, or in our grant. We lose our regular time of our road department if we take longer than May 9th. So,
I think that, it's
lot.
pushing 300,000 of 500 estimates, so there's estimated of still
Well-
possibly 200,000.
maybe not. So that was the
Okay.
initial estimate. That included some of the perhaps waterway debris. We've been able to do that a little separate. Some of that's going to separate processing, so that 500 may have been a little high.
Yeah. I think, some of the folks, I know when we had a group out wanting to help the other day and calling some from the hotline, and several of them were talking about large now, like we were just volunteers able to help pick
Okay.
up small stuff. We didn't have large equipment.
Right.
And that's what they needed, so we had to move on to the next.
So many freaking.
But there's several of them that are just waiting on,
Yeah, so
you know.
everyone, if there are citizens that need help, we need to be made aware so that, one, we could either do a private property debris removal for
Really?
FEMA to allow contractors to go onto the property, or for county staff to go onto the property, or we need to get volunteers moving,
That's the one I've
mobilized.
got.
Okay, so that being said then, as it relates to our hotline, I don't know, so I know we have a ton of names that are, you know, like we just went down that list and some folks would tell us, but we do not have, you know, they may have just called in to say they need help, right? We're not, it doesn't necessarily specify what that help is, right?
Most of the time it does. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Most
if-
of the time we know what is needed.
So if it, okay.
We perhaps don't have the hotline running as a good work order or construction management with a ticket system or something like that, but that, you're jumping ahead to one of my next items.
Well,
but-
I mean, you
Yeah,
know,
you're
would you
good.
expect
Yeah, exactly.
any different?
The last debris tech report was January 30th and 293,000.
Mm-hmm.
It may be out there. The other thing that we didn't factor when we did that initial 500,000 is that we had a burn ban in place, and when we lifted that burn ban, a lot of that
That's
just went up in smoke.
I'm glad
Jinx.
you said that. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. And the contractor wasn't, super thrilled that I pushed to lift the burn ban. He's like, well, that's really dangerous. Well, what he meant was he wasn't going to be able to collect
Yeah.
it.
that's-
Sorry.
I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
Do you have a number on the debris removed from the lake to date?
Nope. But I might. Let me check my email. We needed that information for some other reasons, and let me see if I have it. I may have to get back to you on
Okay,
that.
thank you.
We just thought to separate that yesterday, and it won't be a total number because some of it they're handling directly with recyclers. So we know what we know, but we also know that there's operations going on outside of what runs through us.
I hadn't really thought about that, but that estimate of 500,000, and I know it's an
Right.
estimate, is not including what's in the water, obviously, because we don't
Right.
know what's in the water.
Right, unknown.
Okay.
I mean, we included, when we kind of did drive-bys, we included
What
some
was-
number for
what you
that.
thought, yeah.
Right, but,
A dock on the side of the,
right.
okay.
Let me text, and so maybe he'll respond with that. Okay, so we have a last call on debris, or at least last call for the debris that's going to be picked up by the contractor. If anyone has debris that's still in their yard, I would encourage them to reach out to whatever methods they need to reach out to.
Reach back
They
out
might
to the
reach back
hotline,
out
maybe,
to
just
the
to make
hotline.
sure that
Yes.
their
They call us
information
multiple
has,
times on
Right.
yes, so I mean,
And-
people call us multiple times
Okay.
on the
And it's
hotline.
okay, they don't get yelled
No,
at.
no, no, no. Like they'll have a pile ready, and then they'll call us back 3 days later. We've got another
Okay.
pile ready,
Yeah.
and that's
Okay.
what we want.
And
Yes.
there's still volunteer groups.
Yes.
That
and
will come out and
they
help.
are like or looks great. I'm sorry. Every time somebody calls into the hotline and tells us they have debris to be picked up, we immediately text looks great, and they send a truck out. So we are in constant contact with looks great to get the stuff picked up. So every time somebody has more debris ready, I've gotten 3 texts already this morning from people that have more debris ready, so that we've already sent it to looks great, and they're already on the way. So that's working very, very seamlessly on the debris pickup.
okay.
But that system won't be in place forever, because
Correct.
we're using that as a hotspot, but they're not, they're here to get the bulk, and they're not gonna do those hotspots on a
Right.
as-needed basis until May. Now, they may leave 1 or 2 trucks here, but they're not gonna have 20 trucks here. They may have 1 truck to do hotspots.
Would it be fair to say too, I know we're doing the state right away, but individuals that live on
Oh,
state
yes,
routes,
absolutely.
once Looks Great is gone,
That's
The
it.
county doesn't have
The county will
access
not, will not pick
to
up.
the state routes.
So if it's on a state route,
They
it
need
needs
to get it
get
out
there.
now.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the person who called me about a state route. I just told her, which is actually it's my sister, but is to drive down the rest of that of Oak Level, and if it looks like it's picked up, then you must not have had the
Right.
debris all the way out to the
Right.
10 feet to the 10-foot mark. But I'm assuming they've been down. I haven't been down Oak Level Road in the last.
Yeah, and
couple
if they
days, but
call the
surely to goodness, that
hotline-
was one of the first ones.
Yeah, and if they call the hotline and give the address, then that's the best way because
Brittany,
then
can
they'll
you
send
call
it
my
there.
sister, please,
Yeah.
and check in with her?
Yeah.
We'll get her going.
Yeah, okay.
We have, for the debris costs, the offset for the local share is through volunteer and donations. We've developed a short survey, and we're going to ask everyone to fill it out, even if they think they filled out a paper ticket somewhere else or signed in on notebook paper. If it's a duplicate, our software, I know how to work a spreadsheet. We can figure out if it's a duplicate or not. We'll know. I think that we're going to be posting that on social media and on the county website if we can do that. It's just a Google survey. And then we'll capture those hours, and that will work to go directly as the backup documentation to offset the debris costs. And so that survey will have information of hours, if there were equipment, group, and 3 or 4 words of what the volunteer or donation was.
So can I assume that the school system, because that was a huge
So we
amount
do
of
have
that
some
is
records
already.
from that. Yes,
Okay.
that will work towards it. And it gets a little, not all volunteers and not all donations go to offset. So I have to use kind of best judgment to determine whether it's public infrastructure related or public health and safety related or individual rebuilding. So it becomes like if someone donated a couch, well, that's clearly for a home, that's not health and safety. But hygiene kits in the first days immediately after an event are public health and safety. So that's for me the grant person to figure out. For everyone else, turn it all in and I'll parse it out to this grant or that grant. We may not get it to offset the public infrastructure debris costs, but maybe there's another volunteer grant we can use it for, or volunteer incentive grant. And just to recap, when we talk about, well, volunteers, FEMA will pay us, they're not really paying us, it's offsetting another grant. It's the volunteer or volunteer group will not get that money. It goes towards the county's debt towards the invoices of the debris costs. It gets real confusing of like, wait a second, but I volunteered, my group's not getting the money. I'm like, no. Nope. Not the way this one works. Other grants, we can talk about. So that's
Another time.
Another time, like, we'll figure it out. And there are other grants. There's a corporate generosity grants. So for example, if we had a group of Walmart employees, they do a program called Volunteerism Always Pays, and they will provide an incentive grant as well. And so if we know that a group is from a certain employer, we have a list of employers that do those corporate generosity grants as well. So it's possible that we could get double the money, and that's still not payment to the volunteers. The double the money then goes to the fiscal court or group. We have a lot of movement, both a lot of positive movement, and I'm sure Sue might have addressed it, both with a community foundation and VOADs that are wanting to start that long-term recovery process right now with building homes. We have a lot of citizens that are ready for that, but what we don't have, and we have a list of a lot of people that have a lot of problems, what we don't have is someone with a local person with a little bit of construction knowledge that can look at the hotline info that says porch damaged, some roof damage, no insurance. I'm not someone, well, number one, I'm not a trusted local resident. But I'm also not someone that can go out and say, oh yeah, that's gonna take about $200 worth of roofing shingles, because you don't want me to repair your roof.
Yeah, yesterday, going out with these gentlemen from Northern Kentucky, you could see the expertise.
Right.
When they were on site, and they could speak the language, they knew
Right.
exactly what they were looking at. And that's what we're talking about,
Right.
is
So,
be able-
I recommend that the fiscal court really consider putting someone as a construction liaison or recovery liaison, someone that has some project management experience, some construction knowledge. Either appoint someone to work with the county, for the county, or through, you could even do a task order through my state master agreement. But we're really lacking that expertise. Brittany and team, Robin, that answer that hotline, they're great, but do you know the cost difference, or when to use half-inch plywood or three-quarter inch, she might, okay, so I take it back, she could do it all.
The camera wasn't on her,
Yeah.
but she was doing this, just FYI to those.
Yeah,
So,
while it's not
What-
the court's responsibility to fix someone's home, it is, someone needs to do something, or we're all gonna be stuck doing nothing.
so a newly retired contractor out there that is looking to give back to his community,
Yes. Yeah,
his or her
pretty much.
community, this would be a
Yeah.
fantastic opportunity.
Yes,
Yeah.
and either a
I'm
volunteer.
not going to call out anybody specifically, but I do
Okay.
believe that there are a few that I hope see this and offer their services. That would be great. I hadn't thought about that.
Yes.
It'll be beneficial to all,
Right, right.
because,
You as a community don't recover economically until those homes are in better condition.
yeah. So we had talked to, at least, the court entertain action to start looking for someone to contract with, with our contract that we have with Laurel with ER Assist, it could go under her umbrella because she's on the state contract.
Right, and this would be someone to liaise with the volunteer groups, to know, hey, you have 10 volunteers. Well, it's a group of 10 retired church ladies. Well, they're not going to go put on a new roof. Or I hope, maybe I'm sexist and you just like, oh, God. But to match the volunteer efforts with the task at hand.
Yeah.
That person need to have any licenses in particular?
So this would be a liaison, and they wouldn't necessarily, especially if they work separate from or as a contract, like if they worked under my task order, they would not be directing work on behalf of the fiscal court. They're more of a liaison, and then that work would be done by the volunteer groups in conjunction with the individual homeowner. It's just someone to kind of liaise, someone who would have key access to supplies, or just one person who's kind of the fact checker or the liaison, one person to get it over the finish line. Maybe you want to have an engineer, but that's more at the or a contractor, a licensed contractor, but that's not necessarily required. But just right now, we have no one coordinating a recovery effort at the kind of construction level.
Yeah, the process that we have is.
We don't even have a great database for it.
Darlene, and then the hotline would be Brittany, and.
Just a lot of Pete and repeat.
Yes.
Of, like someone
Yeah.
needs a porch, but we're starting to have building supplies turn up as donations, and we have someone that needs that building supply, but we don't have anyone connecting the dots.
Yeah.
No one saying,
And we don't have anybody on staff. I mean, that's basically
right.
the other issue too.
And this is the next question: is it covered by FEMA? Probably not. It may be covered under some state grants that we're going after or we're developing grants for, but it is for sure not covered under FEMA public assistance, because it's not necessary, these are not immediate health and safety issues. This is a long-term recovery. However, we may have some long-term recovery funds that become available through donations and through the long-term recovery group that could possibly go to offset that. So I offer you no clear path and no clear funding.
Hopefully, one of our retired home
Yes,
builders
yeah.
will step up to the plate.
Do I need to say a name that like sounds like, rhymes with, and then?
Well, I mean, I think we could get some guidance from our building inspection office at least of
Yeah,
you know,
we have no one
maybe
doing this now, and we need someone or a couple someones. and
As
we
far
need-
as facilitating that?
maybe
Oh,
no,
names,
no, I'm
yes,
just
yeah.
saying recommendations.
And the
maybe
sooner the
of-
better,
I
because.
mean, I have a few in my head that
Yeah, send, because I know Laurel's been meeting with, has met with folks in the community, and she's brought some people on her team to facilitate other needs, and it's worked out great.
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon. I walk into the new 911 center and she's doing an interview with somebody. So this would be perfect, in my opinion, to continue that effort. So if you got names or whatever, if the court were to choose that, we just submit those names to her and have her.
Right, and if it's volunteer, then we just need to
That'd
figure
be-
out what
that'd even be better.
Right, and if it's not, if we can't find a volunteer, I don't think this is something that you necessarily want to leave to just happen, because we've kind of done that for the past 6 weeks, and it hasn't happened.
So
Hasn't magically
it's-
surfaced
So can we
itself.
give those
well, let's just
names
say
before
that-
the
right.
next
Yeah.
meeting at
Yeah.
least, and
Yeah,
then have
absolutely, yeah.
see if any of those would pan out.
Yeah, and we have a long-term recovery meeting
Yeah,
Friday
Friday.
at 2.
Yeah,
Friday at 2. So
no
we'll-
pressure.
No,
but you're
yeah.
asking for.
Where
And we
at?
can bring that up at that meeting as well. and-
Where's that at?
That's true.
Where is it? Here, St. Mary's.
Okay.
Matthews.
Hey.
St.
St.
Matthews by the lake.
Everything's
all of-
everything's happening on
Or
Friday.
as it exists in my mind, St. Mary's by the sea. So sorry,
Yeah.
everyone. Just translate when you hear it.
Yeah.
And Community Foundation, I just want to give a super shout out. I have been so impressed by the Community Foundation of Western Kentucky. Never, maybe twice in 10 years have I met such a great community foundation that quickly understands the tasks at hand and the needs at hand and the long-term goal. And Chris specifically, she's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's good.
And that I'll segue in on that while we're here. This is just on the correspondence, the Community Foundation of Western Kentucky. I'd met with Tony back January 20th and basically did a unrestricted temporary fund agreement so that we can have access to those monies.
Right, so it's a sub-fund, and without having that community foundation kind of umbrella, you would limit yourself on what you can impact this community, but to have that community foundation umbrella just opens up all kinds of nationwide opportunities. So, and again, in 10 years, I've only seen 2 community foundations that have stepped forward like that and with such expertise, and this, I'm thoroughly impressed. But they do not do construction management.
I like that you're anticipating questions now.
Yeah.
They are looking, they may be filling some positions to help with the grant management area, coordinating with nonprofits, but, and maybe one of those positions could be something like that, but I don't think that they would be at the local level, local meaning Marshall County level, going door to door and saying you need 4 shingles, you need 6 shingles. We're going to schedule 8 Days of Hope here and Team Rubicon here. That has to be in this community, I think. I think that's all of my specific lists or requirements, is those volunteer names, and that survey is going to be critical, and so we'll make sure we get that posted everywhere. And it's like 10 questions. No one's going to die from paperwork of it. Just fill it out.
Laurel, can you just, in an umbrella approach, when it comes to FEMA or any grants for that matter, there's no guarantee?
So there's no guarantee on these FEMA reimbursement grants. That's for the debris, that's for my work, for any of this. There's no guarantee. There are grants that maybe are guaranteed, but you still have to comply with all the requirements. But there are zero guarantee in any of these, and I would push that also applies to what is being pushed by the legislature, the state legislature right now. When you hear that the legislature is pushing out funds, for the first time yesterday, I heard that those were loans, not grants. So even if we thought we were getting all kinds of money from somewhere, it may be a loan, not a grant. So there is no guarantee on the FEMA reimbursement, but we have to do, I'm going to jump through a lot of hoops to all but guarantee it. Yeah. But in that state legislature, what they said yesterday is it may be a loan, but not a grant, but the difference would be that what's not covered by FEMA. So if it was not covered by FEMA, it would be a grant. But we're really far away from knowing the specifics on that, and so I think I over-answered.
You're talking about something that's specific to individuals, not to us.
So at the state level?
Yeah, because they're not giving it to, it's not going to individuals, correct?
I don't know where it's going.
Okay.
I think there are some funds earmarked for Marshall County, and what I submitted, I was told was appropriate, and that was that what's not covered by FEMA and some of our other grants, and then also possibly for some inspection or safety inspection issues that are not covered by FEMA, but we have not received any feedback that those have been approved or officially earmarked or it's gone through the legislature. I just heard, this looks great, thanks. And
Yeah.
so when do we get our check?
It hadn't passed yet, anyway, has it?
I don't think so.
That bill has not passed.
I think it's like maybe on Friday is what I heard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Coming Friday.
the 30-day,
That's not
that
set in
is,
stone either.
that is,
That's an example of the rules changing.
as we are just now talking about today, last call for debris,
Right.
get it out there. That 30-day, and people in the community need to understand that 30 days for full reimbursement.
We don't know when it
Originally, when the president came here, he stated the first 30 days.
Right.
That 30 days is going to move.
Mm-hmm. So it was the first 30, now it's the any 30 consecutive days of the state's choosing. And the state did a survey, asked everyone to say when they had their most expenses. And it's only for debris and emergency protective measures. So it's only for public safety, roads, 911. So we'll see. But it's going to end, whatever 30 days they pick, someone's going to be hurt, or someone's going to be offended. So it's not,
Yes.
Warren County got way
That,
out in front and started debris almost immediately, even faster than Marshall County, and they probably made some decisions based on.
Yes, but I talked to Jack, or not Jack, but no, I'm thinking of Hopkins.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, so everyone, did, but you made these choices because you needed to as a community, not necessarily
Well, and,
based on the
you
30
know,
days, and it was the
and
right
here-
thing to do.
Here's the thing. It's unfortunate. It really is, in my opinion. But when we are dealt a disaster like this, in some cases, I'm presidential disaster. We in our community, I'm trying to think the last time, other than maybe some flooding, but having a real disaster like this that has impacted people in our community. We're all different.
Right.
All these counties are different.
Right.
Every one of them are different. But I am concerned that they come out and they say, you know, from the federal level, here's this window of opportunity, which in turn started, hey, let's get this done now, so that we can meet that. But
So the rules change.
yes.
I'm going to do my best so
Yes.
that you have 0% cost share no
Yes.
matter what.
And that's the
But I can only do it with the help on the volunteers and the donations.
That's right.
So I'll be calling everyone.
I'm comfortable that we are somewhat with hiring you and your company. It puts us in a better position for that.
Well, I'd like to think so.
Yeah, put a lot of pressure on you.
Yeah.
But
I guess that's a discussion you can have at your panel tomorrow, obviously.
absolutely,
Are all 12
absolutely. Because I'm
county
curious, I mean,
judges
how
going to
do
be
you-
on that panel?
How do you hit that? That's a moving target.
But it's going to be, it is
Right.
what it is eventually. I
Or
mean,
the-
it's just not, it's just, to me, I mean, it's unfair, not unfair, but it's, I mean, that's
We'll
rough.
be ready for
But
other rules to change, too.
To not
Yes.
know until potentially 90 days from that, that's
Yeah.
the thing that I
Well-
cannot imagine taking that long to go back and retroactively say, okay, here's the date. I mean, like, make the decision, tell us when it is so that we know what we're working with.
Well, and as we have found, decisions, in the very beginning, decisions had to be immediate. From the boots on the ground to the individual actually out
Right.
there recovering folks that were still in their basement, you know,
Yeah.
yelling for help. You know, decisions had to be made that had an administrative effect to it, if you will.
Yeah.
And as we go through this process, still decisions have to be made. You know, as now we're into the recovery, and to me, it's going to be a challenge. I just hope that they look at all aspects of that spectrum, because it's not so much us as elected officials sitting in these seats as it is the individuals, because ultimately they're the ones that are paying.
Right. Well, and yes.
Yeah.
But what we
Something-
can control is that construction coordinator position
That's right. That's right.
and the volunteer survey.
That's right. Okay. Anything else? Laura?
We have our long-term recovery meeting at 2 on Friday, and then we have our FEMA, what they call their public assistance exploratory call this week as well. So things are moving, just not overnight.
I noticed on that email, are the folks, Sue's gone, but are the FEMA,
They're
They're gonna
invited, but
be
they're
there.
not running the meeting.
Okay.
They're not to speak unless they have the talking stick.
okay.
Good
Yes.
deal.
I will try not to speak
Yeah.
myself either.
We need a talking stick.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to know. If y'all were at the other one, you'd know.
You know,
You'd know what I was up. Okay.
the
Thank
things,
you.
the things you do as a commissioner for this community.
Well, the things you could have warned me about prior to
Yeah.
something would be
We love
nice.
FEMA. We love.
Anyway.
All right.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Laurel.
I move for a recess, Judge.
Yeah, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
I knew that was
Aye.
coming.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we'll go ahead and call court back to order. We'll go on the correspondence. I did touch on the Community Foundation of West Kentucky. We'll go to item B, probation and parole lease cancellation.
So we got this letter from Division of Real Properties on January 27th, 2022. Dear Lesser, pursuant to paragraph 5 of lease agreement PR 4696, please consider this as an official notice that this lease is being canceled effective to the close of business February 28, 2022. The subject property will not be needed by the Commonwealth beyond that date due to relocation. Further, if you have any automatic dialers or alarm systems connected to the state telephone system, be advised that the Commonwealth may remove its phone system prior to the effective date of this cancellation. Via copy of this correspondence, we would ask that the tenant agency notify the lessor once a date for removal or disconnection of the phone service is established so that they may establish continue service for equipment connected to these lines provided by the agency. If either party has any questions regarding the removal of the telephone systems, please contact our office immediately. Thank you for the past business association. We trust that your future efforts in renting the property will be successful. So really what that means for us is that's going to be a percentage of the space in the judicial building that will be decreased from our payment from the AOC. So I'm assuming that after that date and they vacate the area, we'll probably get something else that will adjust our percentage that we are going to have to pay.
Yeah. And I had spoken to my former supervisor in law enforcement, works with probation and pro, and I'd reached out to Steve and tried to get correspondence back from, I forget the gentleman's name, Frankfurt, but couldn't get a response. But this decision was made at that level. This wasn't, we've got local folks that live here in Marsh County that do not want to see it go to Galloway County, but that decision was made at the state level.
I think if you guys remember, we tried to negotiate a rate with them, and it wasn't because of that. They didn't even respond to that request for that rate. That decision basically was made, like Judge said, from Frankfurt, and they pulled out, and that was it. So we really didn't have any negotiation of any of that. So.
Yeah, but it is going to have a budgetary effect. Item C, PACRO, I just want to update the court. My last meeting was last month. I went to PACRO and asked them, I had submitted a grant earlier last year. We had remaining about $52,000 that we committed towards the Pad Ready site. And I asked PACRO if they could commit for the county $100,000. And the board actually committed $500,000 for each county to have $100,000. There's 5 counties, so each county got $100,000 available to them. This is something that PACRO has done over the past several years. So Marshall County has available to us $100,000 for a grant opportunity. I told them that I would be requesting that for the Pad Ready site. So that way, the portion that we were going to commit to the Pad Ready site would free up $100,000 for us. So that was a great opportunity. Really do appreciate PACRO taking that. I went there. I only could speak for Marshall County, but the board members made it for all 5 counties. And that also included Graves County, so Graves County was in support of that. So we all got $100,000 for economic development. That frees up $100,000 in our budgets. So, old business, approved the minutes January 18th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Be okay to jump ahead and get
Yes.
so Linda and Tiffany can
Yes.
address the court.
Absolutely. Come on up. We're going to go ahead and take item E off of new business and put them in front. Y'all don't need to be sitting around waiting on us. So.
You already have been.
I know. I
Yeah.
was sitting there like,
Anymore.
Monty likes to
in the
talk.
future, call her and tell Corey to put you in the front.
Yeah.
Tiffany,
Yes.
why are you not
He
at the
has his own
podium?
talk stick. He
Why are you not at the podium, Tiffany?
Way to go, Corey.
I'm Linda Avery. I am the treasurer of the 42nd Judicial District Community Corrections Board. Additionally, I'm the circuit clerk for Galloway County. Before you today is the request for a resolution or a letter in support of an EDC grant for $5 million for the 42nd Judicial Community Corrections Board to construct I believe it's a 100-bed inpatient facility for treatment of substance abuse disorder. If we, Callaway and Marshall County, we make up the 42nd Judicial Circuit, if we could pull this off, it would be something that would change the future of our counties forever because of the level of substance abuse disorder that we have. So we are asking your fiscal court to approve a resolution. I believe you have a resolution in
I'll read
hand.
it.
We're asking that you approve that. It is just a resolution saying we support this Community Corrections Board application for this $5 million grant. And we would appreciate your consideration and your support. And if we can move forward with this, like I said, it will be something that will impact our community for years to come. Do you have
Yeah.
any questions for me?
Yeah, this is, the court's already, if you remember, Judge Jameson has been really passionate about getting this for our community, and he's worked with Ernie Fletcher on this. So the court's already entertained information about this. They just need this resolution.
Correct. And
submit
Judge
with that
Jameson
grant.
would be here today, but for the fact that he's having court in Callaway.
Yes.
And we just recently elected officers and board of directors. So we have positioned the Community Corrections Board to be the vehicle to move forward with this, moving from its infancy stage on to, I guess, an adolescent stage right now, moving to being a full-fledged organization that will operate this facility.
Has there been any discussion about where this will be located? Because I know it'll be a joint effort between Marshall and Callaway.
We believe that we have someone who is going to give some land. It is in Callaway County, but it is on the north side of Callaway County. It's in something called an opportunity zone, which makes that a little more beneficial. But everything hinges on this grant, this $5 million grant. So it's sort of like, if that grant falls in place, the property falls in place, we're able to build. And we have to come up with 20%, and we have $1 million in the bank right now to be our part of this facility.
Perfect. Great.
And this resolution is just a resolution in support. It doesn't obligate the county in any way.
Correct.
Exactly.
So let me read this.
Has Callaway had their meeting yet to?
I
But I
believe
assume
that their meeting is next week.
Okay.
And I have the tendered Callaway resolution in my portfolio, which I believe will be exactly the same as yours.
Okay, I'll read this real quick. Authorizing resolution, Marshall County Fiscal Court, whereas the Economic Development Administration, EDA's Economic Adjustment Assistance Program, has made available American Rescue Plan Act funds for the purpose of assisting communities and regions with economic recovery, resiliency, and revitalization in the aftermath of COVID-19 pandemic, and whereas the County of Marshall County and Kentucky have seen a significant uptick in both unemployment and substance use disorders during the COVID-19 pandemic, whereas the EDA has set aside EAA funds specifically for communities and regions transitioning away from a traditionally code-driven economy, a designation that applies to the County of Marshall, and whereas the County of Marshall is part of 42nd Judicial Circuit, and whereas the County of Callaway also supports collaboration on this effort, whereas the County of Marshall intends to provide the infrastructure, support, and opportunities necessary to ensure that the community's economic growth provides quality employment opportunities for all job seekers, including those in treatment, recovery, or counseling who are seeking second chance employment. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the County of Marshall Fiscal Court as follows. The County of Marshall agrees and resolves in collaboration with the 42nd Judicial Community Corrections Board to support their application to the EDA EAA program in the winter of 2022 for the Economic Development and Recovery Housing Initiative that will establish a 120-bed recovery housing campus for men and women, formal pipelines to reemployment of program participants.
Move we approve the resolution, Judge.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tiff, take her out to lunch while she's here. somebody makes good barbecue.
Huh?
All right.
I do too.
Yeah.
He does
Send
make
him
good
also.
barbecue. We share tools of the trade, secrets of the
Did you?
trade all the time, yeah. Getting nervous, Monty. Awkward silence.
Yeah. I'm glad to see we're not the only one that gets one slipped in there. Thanks, Corey.
Who slipped this in here? This.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Elected officials.
These are state.
January 26, 2022 letter. Dear County Treasurer, please find and enclose copies of materials recently emailed to county constitutional officers notifying them of a maximum salary guidelines for the 2022 calendar year in accordance with KRS Chapter 64 and Section 246 of the Kentucky Constitution. These salary guidelines reflect adjustments to statutory maximums in order to maintain an equivalent purchasing power. The 2022 salary maximum for county commissioners, magistrates, and coroners is $84,218.62. The actual salary is determined by the action of the Fiscal Court, but may not exceed the aforementioned maximum. Our office has notified each county commissioner, magistrate, and coroner via email as to these salary guidelines. Salaries for the offices of county judge executive, county clerk, county sheriff, and county jailer as required by KRS 64-5275-1998 are presented on the schedules enclosed. The increase from last year's maximum salaries is 7% for all official positions covered by this letter. We have emailed the aforementioned officials their respective salary schedules and salary guidelines. They will not receive notification via regular mail. In addition, you will find salary information relative to your county attorney. If you have any questions about these materials, please feel free to contact me or any staff member in our county's branch at 502-892-3487. This is, when I found out about this, I fell out of my chair. The 7% increase for the elected officials, we have no say in this. As far as myself and the jailer, I think the sheriff and the county clerk, I know they go off a formula, but a 7% increase, that's the last thing that's on our mind. Well, I can't speak for them, but it's on the last thing that's on my mind. I'm sure it's the last thing that's on your mind is a 7% increase. We can sit and go back and forth and debate as constitutional elected officials to the state and their formula, but I just wish that we had an opportunity to say yay or nay at our level, and we don't. but that's my soapbox.
Well, I want to be
Policy.
clear that to the folks that are watching, anybody here, there is no county commissioner on this court that makes $84,000, so I don't want that to get out there.
Yeah.
I'm just a lowly pit boy at Hutchins Barbecue. I don't make $84,000, so I don't
Well,
want that getting out there.
And the 7% does not apply to us. Yeah.
So the state,
It applies to the 4 that are required.
the state
to take
draws,
it.
the state, when it comes to county officials, the state draws the line at the full-time positions.
Right.
So, you three, me, and the coroner, I think, are the 5 that are not
Yeah.
included.
Correct.
So,
So.
and my letter, by the way, I got the letter too, and I'm way under what the maximum is, and I'm for sure not asking for anything more.
And we haven't taken a cost of living in the 3 years that we've been on the court.
Correct.
I
So-
want that to be clear.
So the one question I had about that particular document that was sent to us, I didn't realize that it was always retro. That starts January 1. So our budget is actually incorrect as far as the 6 months out of the year for
Yeah.
for
For the 4 of us,
Right.
because we don't know
right.
what they're gonna.
I
send us.
really thought that was a June 30, just like with our budgets.
Well, that's
So,
something
I
that
don't know
we
why.
have to discuss is this 7% does have a dollar amount attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
We have to now
Yeah.
do a budget amendment and,
probably
or
can
move
make-
monies from.
We've
Yeah,
never
probably
done
make
it
an
in the past, I
appropriation
don't think.
transfer.
Yeah.
We'll probably have some payroll.
Eventually, it'll catch up.
Yes, it'll catch up. So we can be in front of it or wait till that happens. But yeah, I think we'll have some payroll lines that we'll be able to just move from
Right.
to cover those. I mean, there's really nothing else
Usually,
you can
it's
do.
never been anywhere close to 7%.
No.
No.
Right. So it's not a, yeah.
No,
talking
we've
about
got
two-
1.5 or 2.
Over 3
something
years,
like
we
that.
got 5.6.
Yeah.
Over 3 separate years is total. And then
Total.
this is total, it's been 5.6 for the last 3 years,
7%.
then 7%.
Yeah, this is
this
like
year.
an enormous.
Yeah. Des brought me that letter and she's like, can you read that and make sure that I'm reading it correctly? I'm like, yep, the decimals are where they're supposed to be, where they're set. I mean,
And who makes this decision? The General Assembly makes this decision? Who?
They control the purse strings. I think it's probably DLG,
Yeah.
probably.
It comes from DLG.
Yeah, it comes from DLG.
I think they rely on CPI, I
I
think,
would-
whatever
yes.
CPI usually is.
Yes. And that's where I get that, you know, I understand that, but to not at our level, we're the ones that see our budget and,
We should be able to reject it,
yes.
just like they
Or
they get
adjust
to
it.
adjust theirs.
Yes. Yeah, when.
I would
since-
gladly give my 7% to my guys, yeah.
Yeah, 7% is a lot in my opinion. But we need to approve this, receive it.
I think it's just presented because the only thing that would have taken action is if we would have done anything with the
Gotcha.
taxes, but I think we're good.
It's out of our control.
Yeah.
so.
It is. Let's see. Board appointments, or no, this is a new E911 hire, so if you want.
Yep, this is for a replacement. This isn't adding another dispatcher. Meredith Lewis, dispatcher at 911, full-time at $13.70. I will add that and this is a great idea from Sheila, which needs to probably be in place, is not necessarily an employee contract, but a reimbursement contract with dispatchers, and I think law enforcement does this too.
We can have that with new hires, yeah.
So new hires that aren't currently certified that we have to pay for to go to Richmond to get certified. So we're working on a draft document with Jason and.
Meaning an amount of time that they're required to
Correct.
stay
Yeah.
before they have to pay it back.
Yeah, ours is statute. Right now, it's 3 years.
So that's kind of reflective in the one that I got from Sheila when she was originally hired by the board. She had that contractual agreement.
Yours
So,
is in statute?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
It's
So
the contract, and it's 3 years from graduation from the academy. If someone else, and right now, it's not even proratable. If I had somebody graduate the academy
Oh.
today and then Callaway hired them, they would have to pay the entire contract amount.
So I mentioned that because we'll try to solidify that for those, and probably something, I don't know, Sheila, do you feel like this would be not a game changer for this hire? But, I mean, as far as approving the hire and then maybe at the next court meeting, making sure we got all of our ducks in a row to provide this document to her?
Going forward, it would be very helpful for us. That way we're not losing people to neighboring agencies like we are, because right now we're losing people at a pretty drastic rate because of that.
Why don't we entertain the county attorney drafting that document?
It's basically already done.
Yeah, we've got it. It's done. It's just we hadn't got a chance to.
There was, and Sheila, I forgot to send it to you this morning. I sent it to Brad, but it doesn't really change the terms of what yours was. It just kind of, there was some language that I didn't really care for that I changed, but the guts of it is basically the same. The only question I had for Brad is it's got in there that if the person leaves in the first year, they have to pay back the 100%. And then there was a formula on there if they left after a year, but before 3 years. And I was confused as to what it even meant. I couldn't make heads or tails of it. So
Probably need to be changed, because originally we had to be through the academy within 6 months.
Yeah.
So that's probably where the year came through. Now it's changed, you only have to go to the academy within the first year. So that's probably where some of that language came from.
So my suggestion was instead of doing a formula, you just make it clean and say, if it's over a year but less than 18 months, it's 75% reimbursement. If it's 18 months to 2 years, 50% reimbursement. If it's the third year, 25% reimbursement. And then I'm just throwing out numbers. I mean, I just threw those in there for points of discussion, so.
And that is personal liability of that person, which is different than what you're talking about, right? As far as their statutory is like that other county would have to pay our
Yeah, it doesn't
county.
rest upon the employee, it rests upon the agency that hires them.
Okay. What if they leave a year and a half the field completely?
Then
That's
I don't
not-
think we don't have recourse the way the
Interesting.
statute's written.
So this would be
anything.
the opposite of that.
This would be-
be only the individual, not the
Yeah, because we don't have any authority to go after the other agency.
another.
They've got the law enforcement has that statute, we don't, so.
So
Would it be, let's just say somebody we hire gets into the line of work and they just get out of the profession altogether, compared to, say, somebody that goes to another agency. I mean, if somebody were to get out of the profession altogether, are we going to seek restitution, or would it be somebody going to another agency
that's-
with that
The
certification?
way that it reads now, if they skip to another agency, it's 100% no matter when they leave in the first 3 years.
okay,
Okay.
but
Yeah, okay.
leave the field. Is that
They
open?
would follow that
It would follow into that,
after 18 months, after
prorated thing.
24 months.
but that's y'all's call.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
it's
don't
not-
know.
That's just the way it is.
Here's
It's
here's-
not,
change it.
it's
Yeah.
not my department, but it does, I mean,
Here's what you see, and I don't. You have recruitment. I mean, let's face it. Other agencies are out there recruiting because it's a license.
They're
It's a
recruiting our
certification.
people. Yeah.
Yes, and so I can see why they put it statutorily in there that
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
agencies. For us, Chapter 15 doesn't have that. So it is a certification. You can't walk into a dispatch center without going through and getting that certification from the state. So if someone were to get into this line of work, and let's face it, not everybody can do this work, and they say, you know what, I'd rather go work at the plants or go work wherever, and they're not taking that certification with them to another PSAP.
yeah.
To me, if they get out of the profession as a whole, we don't need to seek restitution for that.
That's my thought as well, because here's the deal. We're requiring that they do that in the first place. So you're required to do that by us, right, to be a dispatcher. And so to get out of the business within 6 months and expect to have to pay that back when we're the ones who required it, I think is a little.
Now, yes, she is.
Yeah.
The academy is actually a state requirement.
Okay.
We're not required.
Now,
They
from a
have to.
legal standpoint, Jason, if they get out and
But-
then
But it's
later on
still-
get back
Well, that's the
in,
other thing, is like, how do you even
how do you,
monitor
how do
that?
you,
Yeah.
how do you manage that?
Yeah.
They get the certification.
There's really no way to.
I'm gonna go work
Yeah.
at Dollar General for a month, so I don't have to pay anything back.
And hop back in.
That's our primary.
So will
Thing that it does
that
eliminates
state agency,
Individual going to an agency.
have you ever seen another state agency or another
Got the job.
agency pay
I'm just
that
gonna go,
for
I
them?
think that may
It's new to us,
correct.
so we've never done
Okay,
it.
I've
so
paid
we've
for
got, so we don't know of another dispatch that has this in place.
We're just trying to do
Okay.
something to hopefully prevent losing so
Yeah.
many people to neighboring agencies.
Yeah.
I would rely on statute where you all would just rely on the power of the contract.
Right,
It would be much nicer to have it in statute.
sure.
But I paid 3
what if we just stay
prorated
consistent
contracts,
and
you
just
know, at
use the
$9,000 or
tier
$10,000
no matter
to get
what.
someone, because it's still way
So,
cheaper than
take out that. if
spending a
you
year
work
in
for
the
another
academy.
dispatch,
You're talking
what we're trying to do
40,000 a
is
year before
recover what we spent
9,000.
on that person, right?
The
So-
burden's on us.
So the cost, on average, would be,
I need to look that up, because I don't want to give you a number and be completely wrong, but it's several $1,000s.
okay,
Because it's 4 weeks that they're gone, and then on top of their 4 weeks that they're gone, you're having to pay for the travel, uniforms to go. So it's a few $1,000s to attend.
okay.
Probably a minimum of 5 for that month.
I mean, here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to put something in place that, I understand it, that we need some type of protection, but I also don't want to put something in place that limits, it's already hard enough to recruit. I don't want to see us hurt ourselves in recruitment to have something like this, you know?
Why couldn't we put something in there, Jason, like 2 years for the next 2 years if they,
Talking about,
Yeah.
kind of like a
Non-compete.
non-compete.
because they could go somewhere for a week or a month and work and then go right for another piece.
Just make it that simple.
Yeah.
We could do that, or you guys could do that,
Non-compete makes sense.
Something has to be put in place.
Why don't we work on some kind of a non-compete rather than if this, then this? And we can bring it back, but if you guys feel like that's a.
Y'all want to focus on job hopping from agency to agency, right?
Yeah, that's paying to
Yes.
train them and then they go somewhere else.
Yeah, I think the getting out of the industry altogether, I don't know that I mean, this is the first time I've heard about it, but my initial reaction is that I'm not comfortable
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
that, and I think it's gonna hurt us recruitment-wise. Going from agency to agency, should be something there. I agree.
Well, if they know they're getting out, they shouldn't have a problem with, say, a 2-year.
Right, yeah,
Not getting back in it.
yeah, I agree, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, I think that's more palatable.
Sheila, do you see more employees leaving to go to other agencies? Obviously, probably for better pay.
That's what
and-
she said.
Yeah, come on up.
Just to kind of give you guys an example of what we've been going through, we had interviews over the past month, and at least half don't even show up. And then we find out it's because they're going to our neighboring agencies, because we are drastically the least paid dispatch agency from all of our surrounding agencies. KSP they were up close to us, but they just voted to give them a raise. So we've lost 4 in the past year to other agencies. When you're a department of 10 dispatchers, losing 40% of your workforce in a year to other agencies is a pretty big deal. We're not getting people applying for us because all of these neighboring agencies are hiring, because there's a national 30% shortage of dispatchers right now. So if you can go to McCracken County and make $18, $20 an hour, or you can go to Livingston, I'm just throwing these numbers out, I don't know exactly how much they make, I think they make around 15, or you can come to Marshall and make $13.70. What are you gonna choose? You're gonna choose the one that you're making the most money at. So we're having a very difficult time recruiting right now.
Well, and I think it's probably the recruiting against anybody, not even agency by agency.
It's a national
There's
issue.
I mean, you know, you could go to another job out there and get $15 an hour now, relatively easy, I would assume.
And a lot of those jobs,
I
you're not
mean,
working weekends.
We don't need a minimum wage
holidays,
increase, it's already
midnights.
increased, I
Or
mean.
the mental health.
It's
Right.
just there. Yeah, right. Yeah, okay.
But those are the issues we're facing right now. Interviews have been extremely difficult because we maybe get 100 applicants, but most of those are unemployment. They don't really want to work. They just have to apply so many places because they make more money on unemployment than they would coming and working as a
I
dispatcher.
think you're seeing a lot of that even in the private sector.
Right,
you
so they
know.
don't show up for the interviews.
Yeah.
We
But the
scheduled
pay
4
is,
interviews last week and none of them showed up.
yeah, the pay is significantly lower than surrounding agencies. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, drastically.
I think it's like $2 to $3 less.
Yeah. I think that's
In the
something that,
region.
going down the road, we're gonna have to discuss, and, I mean, it's gonna be a long-term problem if we don't. And,
Well, and
Because it-
now we have,
Yeah.
we have discussed it, the budget that we have in place. Obviously, we're in a lawsuit,
Yeah.
and that budget is tied up.
And the issue isn't only getting new people in, it's retaining the people that we have. Because once they have that certification, they can walk into any other agency around us because there's a 30% national shortage. So they can walk into these agencies with that certification and get a massive pay raise.
And so and if you look at the conditions that we have in the new 911 center with the budget that we have associated with the new 911 center, we would be the competing agency in this region that would help. I mean, it is a national issue.
Yeah.
There's the number of emails that come across my desk talking about communities that are struggling. You know, the Judge Executives Association, counties that are struggling because they just can't keep people in those positions for various reasons. One, it's kind of like Madisonville's police department. They're going to start their own police academy. And it's because 22 weeks at Richmond, folks don't want to go there and spend 22 weeks away from their family.
We run into that as well. If we
You
do
run
find
into that
somebody
as
who's a
well.
Great candidate, well, they can't leave their family for 4 weeks. to
And they
go
have
to an
childcare.
academy.
I know, I've walked in and seen you and Rachel sitting there, and what are y'all doing? Waiting for an applicant. We've had 2 that hadn't shown up, and I see the frustration on your faces. And then as I'm out and about and I run into folks, I'm like, well, so-and-so is a great candidate. Have them go interview. We're actually taking interviews for these positions. But when you start talking about childcare or times that they have to spend, is it six weeks now? They did.
It's 4 weeks right now. I think there
4
may be some
weeks.
talks in increasing it a little bit, but right now it's still at 4.
Yeah, so the same issues there, you know, you get a family, childcare is an issue to be away for 4 weeks. But I'm getting off on a soapbox there. We do need to have something in place because that certification, the people who do come and we do hire and they get that certification in that short interim, the cost associated with that, when they go to another agency with that certification, we're stuck holding that.
And on top of that
debt.
4-week certification, it's a solid 3 to 4 months of in-house training before they're ready for their own shift. So by the time we have someone through the academy, we've spent months and thousands of dollars training them.
So really, the only thing on the
Thank you,
table
Rachel.
now is the
Sheila.
new hire. So, thank you, Sheila.
Thank you.
While she's up, should we skip to G?
Not really. I mean,
No, okay.
That's kind of, well,
Outside of that? Okay.
yeah, kind of, yeah.
All right.
Do we want
So-
to put some?
Did y'all vote on the new hire?
No, not yet. Sorry.
Move we approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And we will get some language put together and bring it back. Item C, board appointments. The restaurant board appointment to the Kentucky Lake Convention and Visitors Bureau of Directors. For the restaurant board appointment, I've got Jeff Russell, owner of Amazing Blaze Barbecue.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. For the Kentucky Lake Vacation Land and Lodging Association, Scott Ratzliff, obviously the manager of Kentucky Dam Village, he's been, I think he served 3 years. His term is up. And Misty Anderson is the current manager at Triangle Fishing Club, is who my appointment would be.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Training incentive, I'll just read these. Dear Mr. Lamb, congratulations on the completion of your 40-hour training unit for calendar year 2022 pursuant to KRS 64-5275 subsection 6. You are required to be paid an annual incentive per calendar year for each training unit completed up to a maximum of 4 incentive payments. The value of an incentive payment for 2022 is $1,169.77. Our records show that you have successfully completed 4 units and are due 4 incentive payments of $1,169.77 for a total of $4,679.08. Please make the dispersing officer aware of that incentive payments are not exempt from state or federal withholding requirements. This is Dear Judge Neal, congratulations on the completion of your 40-hour training unit for the calendar year 2022 pursuant to KRS 64-5275 subsection 6. You are required to be paid an annual incentive per calendar year for each training unit completed up to a maximum of 4 incentive payments. The value of an incentive payment for 2022 is $1,169.77. Our records show that you have successfully completed 4 units and are due 4 incentive payments of $1,169.77 for a total of $4,679.08. Please make the dispersing officer aware that incentive payments are not exempt for state or federal withholding requirements.
You need those separately?
Please.
Okay. Move we approve Commissioner Lamb's training incentive.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Move we approve Judge Neal's training incentive.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We did the resolution, item E. Interlocal agreement, Morris County Fiscal Court and North Marshall Water. Let's see. I'll read this real quick. Whereas the tornado of December 10th, 2021 caused substantial destruction and damage to the commercial and residential property of the citizens of Morris County, Kentucky, including property located on or immediately adjacent to property owned or controlled by the North Marshall Water District, whereas the tornado damage has caused massive amounts of debris scattered throughout the Morris County, including property located on or immediately adjacent to property owned or controlled by the North Marshall Water District, whereas within the FEMA Public Assistance PA program, there is a federal, state, and local share. Whereas Morris County and the North Marshall Water District desire to enter into an agreement pursuant to KRS 65-210 through KRS 65-300 to cooperate together to clean up the debris resulting from the 2021 tornado in the most efficient manner. Now, therefore, it is hereby understood, resolved, and agreed to as follows. 1, Marsh County will collect all FEMA-eligible debris throughout Marsh County, including property located on or immediately adjacent to property owned or controlled by North Marshall Water District. 2, Morris County will be the applicant within the FEMA Public Assistance PA program as it relates to debris pickup and removal resulting from the December 2021 tornado. 3, the Morris County Debris Monitor Contractor will provide the North Marshall Water District with a reporting software which will show the location of collected debris. 4, for any debris collected by Morris County on or about property owned or controlled by the North Marshall Water District, either directly or through third-party contractors, the North Marshall Water District will pay Morris County for the portion of the debris removed from the city limits within 30 days of receiving an invoice for the second version of the Morris County Debris Project obligation. Said invoice shall be submitted as soon as possible and within a time frame to allow the city to recover the maximum amount of financial assistance available through the FEMA Public Assistance PA program. Before I go on, it says city limits. Does North Marshall Water have,
That's a typo.
okay.
Yeah.
So that, we'll just scratch through that?
Yeah, because I used that one.
Yeah. Yeah, for the other one. So that would be from Morris County Water District, North Marshall Water District. Let me read section 4 over. For any debris collected by Marshall County on or about, Marshall County, either directly or through third-party contractors, the North Marshall Water District, on or about property owned or controlled by the North Marshall Water District.
Okay. Long pause.
Read this again. For any debris collected by Marshall County, either directly or through the third-party contractors, the North Marshall Water District will pay Marshall County for the portion of the debris removed from the on or about property owned or controlled by the North Marshall Water District within 30 days of receiving an invoice for the second version of the Marshall County debris project obligation. Said invoice shall be submitted as soon as possible and within a time frame to allow the city to allow North Marshall Water District
I made those changes before I sent that.
to recover the maximum amount financial assistance available through the FEMA Public Assistance PA program. North Marshall Water, this is section 5. North Marshall Water District's portion of the share of the debris removal shall be at the same rate of Marshall County's share. 6, both Marshall County and the North Marshall Water District will make all reasonable efforts to reduce the local share through all available methods to include but not limited to FEMA PA resource grants and FEMA timelines or timeless incentives, aka limited 100% time frame. 7, the term of this agreement shall be 90 days and may be extended if an extension is needed to complete the debris cleanup. 8, no additional legal entity is created under this agreement. No real or personal property will be acquired by any of the parties under the scope and intended purpose of this agreement. No sharing or intermingling of employee labor is contemplated under this agreement. Number 9, Marshall County and the North Marshall Water District shall each be solely responsible for making any necessary changes to their respective budgets. 10, this agreement shall be assigned in whole or in part without the written consent of all parties.
Move we approve the interlocal agreement with those changes.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Rapid deploy mutual aid. Sheila, do you want to come up? Termination agreement. We got a response from Rapid Deploy, and they are going to terminate their agreement. They're the ones that got the state contract, is that right, or is that Rapid SOS?
They do have a state contract for a mapping system, not for a CAD system.
Yeah, so they've got the state contract for the mapping system, and they're going to focus on the mapping system. As far as Rapid Deploy, we had an agreement with them for the CAD system, and they are going to step away from that and focus on their state contract. So this is their mutual termination agreement. Do I need to read it?
Does that, I mean, if they fulfill their obligation with that reimbursement, are we even with them if they do that?
The money that they have on here is, as far as I know, Desiree, you can probably confirm this, is the $43,200 is what we've spent to date with them. So they said that they will refund that.
Okay. I just making sure that we were not going to be out anything.
No, and we've already talked to the 911 Services Board as well, so we can, since it's a grant project, we can move this toward another CAD as well.
Okay.
We can do a scope of change, or a change of scope of work. Okay, good. Dry. We just need to approve this termination agreement. And I can tell you, I was on the phone early this morning. The committee in Frankfurt, the General Assembly's got a committee together. There is, and how rapid deploy plays into this, 911, NG 911 mapping. What they've done in years past, the $35 million that goes for the cell phone to the state, about $10 million in grants. The rest is in the pro rata and volume share. They have increased the grants side from $2 to $3 million. And what the discussion was this morning, they had a committee hearing at 10, was to take $500,000 out of the $3 million to cover rapid deploys. Well, let me say it, not cover rapid deploy, but cover the state's NG 911 mapping contract, which rapid deploy got. The counties, my director reached out to me to make sure that the counties, they kind of saw that and felt that that may be negative towards the county across the state that are in the certified PSAP business. But if you remember, probably 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago, we sat in here and discussed mapping is an issue. It's not only an issue with our county, it's an issue across the state, and to some degree, the mapping is supposed to be updated 24 hours.
I was able to log into Rapid Deploy to their mapping system yesterday, and it looks like it is going to have some benefits. We still have a lot of training to do, so I don't want to speak too much on it, but it looks like it may combine two things that we're using now, Rapid SOS, which is free, but there's also texting on it statewide, which right now as a county we're paying for texting. So that might be something that we don't have to continue paying for because this will provide that for us.
Yeah, so I told my association's director that, yes, you're seeing that $500,000 being asked for to fund this NG 911 mapping, but the counties have to look at it as what we're getting. We're getting the mapping system that we know is a problem fixed. And so that's what they need to focus on. It is coming. We knew this was coming. I don't know where that committee's at. I don't know how far that bill is going to make it through the process. But the NG 911 mapping is an issue. Our mapping is an issue. So this hopefully will fix that. Now, that goes to the state control. So our GIS handles the mapping. I see that as a benefit because you actually have the state, through a state contract with a company like Rapid Deploy, that is providing that mapping system, and that frees up the requirement at the local level to maintain that. And we're all different. All 115 PSAPs are different. Some people don't have a GIS unit to do their mapping. So I think this is good for our counties, that they get the NG 911 mapping resolved. That way it affects all of us. And there's to date 115 PSAPs. So, but this Rapid Deploy is going to focus on that state contract.
I think it's going to be a good platform for us. It looks like it's very user-friendly. It ties into our phone system, so we'll have real-time updated information on location for 911 callers. So that's something that I think will benefit us and our citizens.
Yeah, so while we're on that, can you share, I mean, you sit in that seat, can you share how that's going to benefit, like a scenario?
We do have something similar now called Rapid SOS. We've talked about that in court before. And it is very similar to that, but it basically puts it in one platform with a statewide mapping. and the text to 911. So it's all one platform together instead of 3 separate screens. Basically, if you call into 911, right now, if you were to call in and we didn't have Rapid SOS or this mapping system logged in, it would be based on your cell phone, wherever the closest tower you were to, and then it would basically do something called triangulation, which would keep narrowing down to get to your location, which isn't always very accurate. It can be within a few thousand meters. This uses your cell phone location and gives us within feet of where you're at if you don't know your location when you call 911, which oftentimes when people call 911, they don't know where they're at or they're too upset to give us an exact location. So this will help us get help to them much quicker.
And maintaining that mapping is the benefit, I think, at the county level, by the state being involved. They actually will make sure it's Rapid Deploy is a reputable company. They got the contract, and so they're going to be making sure that that is maintained at the state level for all certified PSAPs.
I think they're also already in Kansas, so they've been well maintained in other areas. It's been tried to make sure that it works before it came to Kentucky. So it looks like it's a good product.
And that has nothing to do with the flyover stuff either, though,
No.
right? That's totally separate of that.
So this agreement, this is Rapid Deploy's mutual termination agreement.
I move we approve the termination agreement.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Sheila.
Judge, I know it's not on there, but I don't know, we did, through the fiscal court, put out the notification that Tony and his office sent out those documents from the PVA, or those packets to those affected in the tornado? Did we, I think we shared that on our, well, each individual through that path, I think there are 900 to 1,000 packets going out from the PVA to go through the process of what our homeowners that have been affected need to do to address their values.
So, yeah.
I think
So,
we shared it on our Facebook page.
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I know he updated, sent me something Friday and said that those went out Friday.
Okay.
So those folks should be
Receiving something.
receiving those soon if they haven't already received them.
Yeah.
So that's good. And
And he created, the best he could,
Yeah.
a spreadsheet to where we can kind of show somebody what their assessed value could be. He
Yeah.
wanted to stress that, you know, they really can't determine an exact number, but the best we can do to get them close to a number, because it's probably going to be an increase.
well, and I think the important thing to know about that, and I didn't even think about us maybe inviting him to come talk about that. He came to speak to our Realtor board about it, and I think the important thing there is that because this tornado hit prior to January 1, then whatever your assessment is, if you were affected by that, you know, it's not going to be like your normal, whatever your value is on January 1 is what it is, no matter what. In this particular case, they will review those and change those accordingly. So if your house was, you know, completely devastated, you're not going to pay real estate taxes on a $400,000 house. You're going to pay it on the value that it is now.
Yeah.
So, but that's going to be it's going to be a process. Luckily, he's getting those out, and this is February, I guess, right? Because that's going to take all year to assess each and every one of those. I mean, that's a yeoman's work to be done. But anyway, I just throw that out. I know they were sent out Friday. Yeah, it'd be good to have him here to, yeah, it was very informative for our realtors, I know.
That's a good point. Item H, bills and claims. Is there any reason to deny payment of the bills and claims?
I've just got a question on the radios labeled FEMA. Were those state contract price or RFP put out for those?
Hey, Laurel.
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 Uh-oh. Tracy's got her, so
Yeah.
good luck.
The question is with the radios, yeah,
10 seconds out the door.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
With the radios, procurement,
Mhm.
with the grant for FEMA, during that time where there's a need,
Mhm.
the commissioner's asking one, I'm assuming it's for procurement reasons?
Yes.
State contract? Yeah. Do those in an emergency have to be procured?
Do we have a state contract, a state term contract?
What do you mean?
Um,
Are you talking the vendor?
items in question, yeah.
Does the vendor have a state
Uh-huh.
contract? I can't answer that right now, no, I
Okay.
don't know.
I'll have
It's
to
a-
research that, because we would have to follow, well, if it's in the period of emergency or exigent circumstances, then we wouldn't, then it would be emergency or exigent circumstances.
Right.
But if.
Well, I
if
think
we're-
that's the question.
Uh-huh.
The timeline was December, end of December, going into early January. Is it 30 days?
Well, yeah. To say that it's an emergency now, I don't.
Yeah, now is a
it might
different
be a
question.
stretch, right?
Correct,
So,
yeah.
okay.
Well, to get the actual quote, the timeline it's taken to get the bills to the court, and to get the quote, there was a delay, but, I mean, the need is still there.
If the need is still here, but I couldn't say that, I think the vendor that I think that you're asking about, I thought was
Motorola.
under state term, I thought they were under state term
I
contract.
think they are. They're national, they're national. I've had this discussion some time ago, and not having this information asked of me, I'm going to say that they are on the state contract.
Right, but I don't know that, so I would have to pull that up. So if they're under state term contract, or possibly even GSA, depending on which item it is, then that procurement could be met through those conditions. But for emergency or exigent today, I can't say that it's emergency or exigent today. It may still be an item that's needed, and that would
Are
be
you
eligible.
Are you referring to the grant that we were discussing back in December?
Yeah, right. So December versus today, it's a whole new world, but it would still be eligible if we're talking about the items that would facilitate the debris removal from the barge to the road department now that the contractor may be leaving the area. But I think the question was procurement, not necessarily usage.
Yeah, I'm going to
I'm
say
over
that
answering again.
they've got the state contract for their infrastructure.
But that would
I-
be one of the items that I would have to gather for it to be reimbursable under FEMA public assistance. Does it meet state, local procurement, or local and state procurement? Local, state, and federal. It meets federal because it's below 250. Does it meet state? It does if it's state term contract, and doesn't meet local. It does if it's state term contract. But if it's not state term contract, then we have to answer the questions as to how it meets procurement in order for it to be FEMA reimbursable.
We can find that answer pretty quickly, though, right?
Yes, yeah.
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 I just sent the representative from Motorola the question. I'm going to say that they're on state contract. Most of those vendors are. But is that the question?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to make sure if we're paying something, it's either on state contract or we put RFP out for it before.
Correct.
I agree to
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, and I think the discussion was during the exit.
Right, and that was.
Emergency.
Yeah, I think it was initially identified when we had no cell service, no internet, but then we realized the ongoing need even after cell service was restored for certain locations between living lands to be able to communicate.
And that's the road department. I mean,
correct.
initially, it was for the sheriff's radios.
Right, because we had no cell service for a period of days, and then even when we had cell service, it was spotty.
Yeah.
Or I guess, or internet then too, but.
Is that grant still available? So the grant is
Right,
still
so
available.
There's two grants that could fall under. One is the Cat A debris. So if we're using it under debris operations, it falls more under debris. And one is Cat B emergency protective measures. So depending on what, when the items show up and what we use them for is under what grant it would fall under. But it's my understanding, it's probably now it's more Cat A for debris than initially we were looking at Cat B emergency protective measures. But as we realized some difficulties that the nonprofit was having, and then with the road department, I think it fits more under the Cat A debris now.
Right. And I think the bigger issue, in addition to the procurement, is the fact that that grant's still available. I think when I was talking with Matt, 12 radios for the sheriff's department, that opportunity wasn't taken, but it's still available.
For the Cat B today, I couldn't say that it's still available because I don't know that we still have an open. I mean, it's still available. Yes, we have 6 months for emergency protective measures, but we have other forms of communication today. So I don't think we could say turn it back on today and get 12 radios.
Well,
But in December we could have.
Yes.
But the opportunity is missed.
Okay, so
now.
that grant opportunity is missed.
Right.
But there is still an opportunity to get radios, and potentially even if it doesn't meet FEMA, if it doesn't, because no grant, you can't get confirmation. If you put in for a grant, obviously, I think that's illegal to get confirmation that you would be approved when there is a selection committee. The grants are out there to apply for.
There's lots of other grants, and I'm going to be working the system to get lots of things approved.
Yes. So I guess.
But at the end, there will be some, especially in that local cost share, that the county's going to have to come up with, and I cannot give a guarantee. Otherwise, I'd be in the hole. But most of what I go after, we get.
Motorola is on the state contract, November 22.
Expires November 2022, so, okay.
But there is still an opportunity.
For what we would use it for Cat A, for debris, I don't know that we have that opportunity today for.
That particular grant that you were talking about.
Right. That I don't know that we could order it for the sheriff's department today because we have cell service today.
Sure. So
But
that opportunity
when we first
was
looked at
missed.
it, and when we had lots of other mutual aid providers and not enough, and certain fire stations were stringing wires from poles, and we were using megaphones, and whatever. I'm a little bit joking, but not really.
Yeah.
Like we had serious communication issues for a period of time there.
December 27th, when it was, I know my office had directed to request those radios. That would have been covered under that grant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Everything in moderation, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If we could document that we had a need, which we documented. We documented, we had usage, there was procurement. There are some areas, maybe 100% of it wouldn't have been, maybe just components of it. But the short answer, yes. The long answer, well, maybe.
So the bills and claims, if that was the only issue with the state contract, is there any issues not to pay the bills or claims? Hearing none, show the fiscal court clerk to record the bills and claims to be paid. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.